Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reviews That Don't Matter with Jessica Hitt. My name is Jessica Hitt, and on today's episode, yes, is Riverdale Recap. I said that very sloppily. I'm not drunk, I swear. So this is episode 6 of this season, and I watched it this morning, and I wasn't sure how I felt about this whole episode, and then the more I digested it and sat on it, I actually feel like I'm pretty high on the episode. I actually did enjoy it more than like when I was actually watching it. And this is a recap episode of Riverdale. So if you don't already know it's spoiler heavy, then get out of here. Last week we left off with Betty giving the Black Hood Nick St. Clair's name to kill as opposed to Polly or Veronica or Archie or any of these people. So she races down to the Pembroke where the St. Clairs and the Lodges are staying and rushes into his room real fast and just finds him just kind of nursing his wounds from getting the crap beaten out of him by a whole bunch of girls after he drugged and tried to rape Cheryl. So for some reason, he's not dead. The Black Hood has not killed him just yet. But Cheryl has decided to talk to the police about what happened, and so Sheriff Keller shows up right in the middle of it, and it's just, he doesn't really ask Betty why she's there. In a way, like, I don't know, Sheriff Keller is just like, he wasn't a bad sheriff in the first season, I felt like. That was just kind of like this really weird murder mystery that was just hard to follow and solve, and so it took him a while. This season, he just feels like not a good cop. I mean, he's not as bad as like the cops in Pretty Little Liars. Like, they are the worst cops in the entire world. But he's getting there. I do think all of that is purposeful, however, due to what happened at the end of the episode and also the preview for the next episode. Next week, Betty kind of has suspicions that Sheriff Keller might be in on this, might know who the Black Hood is, might actually be the Black Hood. But before we get to all of that, Betty and Archie finally talk, and she decides to not answer phone calls from the Black Hood, which does not last long whatsoever. She will immediately pick up her phone to the next call from the Black Hood, asks him why Nick St. Clair survived, and he just said, hey, he's not a Riverdale resident. I just wanted you to name a name so you can realize that we're the same. And this all feeds into my theory that this is actually Betty's long-lost older brother that her parents gave away when they were very young, like right out of high school. So Betty decides that it's about damn time that she flips the game on the Black Hood, and she starts being smart Betty, and she's not turning into dark Betty yet, which I really like that. I like how it doesn't go full force dark Betty into like depression mode. I like how she was like, you know what? I'm Betty Cooper. Like, I'm gonna be smart about this. And you, Black Hood, are gonna fall into my little trap. So she keeps Archie informed. She finally makes up with Veronica. And I like how Veronica was just like, you've been a complete B-word to me. Like, that was not cool. And Betty was like, you know what, there's no excuse. And then Veronica's just like, okay, well, what's your insane excuse for this? Like, there has to be one. And so they sit down, they talk about it, and Veronica's immediately in. She's like, well, this guy's going down. So now we have B&V kind of teaming up, and they're trying to find the drug supplier known as the Candyman. And they get the information from Reggie while they're doing community service for doing all of the drugs at the party, because all of them got caught because of the whole thing that happened with Cheryl. Apparently, Jingle Jangle stays in your system for 3 days, so technically they were all on drugs, and none of their reports or information from what happened that night is valid. Except for, of course, Betty, who didn't take any drugs, but that's whatever. Anyway, Veronica gets the information from Reggie, and then they decide to track down the dealer. So Veronica tries to buy some Jingle Jangle, and then they track him down. Ends up, it's the Ghoulies. It is the rival gang of the Serpents in the South Side, and they kind of get stuck into the lair, but luckily, Jughead Jones and Archie Andrews are already there. And this brings us to what's happening with the boys of Riverdale. And Jughead wakes up in his little humble abode trailer and is writing a new story about what's going on in Riverdale, of course. Tony walks out. She slept there. They just did some PG-13 groping is what they say. And then Tony's like, you know what, you're still hooked up on Betty, and I'm also way more into women, which, first of all, I'm really happy in the way that they did that, so it's not like this weird love triangle. Like, I actually really like Tony as a character a lot, and I think that she could become good friends with a lot of the people. Like, I want to see her interact with a Betty more or a Veronica. I think that would be really fun. So we're back to friend status with Jughead, Jones, and of course, Tony Topaz is her name. And Jughead finds out that Tall Boy, I think his name is Tall Man or Tall Boy, I think it's Tall Boy, who is now kind of taken over. He was F.P. Jones, who was the leader of the Serpents, right-hand man, and so he kind of takes over the Serpents, and he decides that the Serpents and the Ghoulies have to make a little frenemy pack and protect each other in a way because all of their people are going to jail because Mayor McCoy and Sheriff Keller are cracking down on the South Side, and they completely raided the high school and took a couple teenagers basically hostage due to drug stuff, which, I mean, first of all, they just went directly for these people and didn't even search their lockers before putting them in handcuffs. So I don't really know how the law works, but I don't feel like that was right. But then again, this is Riverdale, and the law works differently, I feel like. So back to where we were, Archie and Jughead are at the Ghoulies' place, and they are trying to stop the Serpents and the Ghoulies from kind of joining forces, thinking that they should be separate, and also doesn't want any harm to come to the north side where all his friends are. So, after meeting with FP, and FP kind of giving them into a little bit of advice about the Ghoulies, and apparently they like drag racing. So, Jughead and Archie demand that they race the head of the Ghoulies guy, Malachi, I think his name is, or something like that, something weird. This guy doesn't know how to wear a shirt. He just buttons one thing down here. He's kind of like Billy from Stranger Things too. Anyway, decides to race him, and whoever wins basically gets to take control of the territory in a way, or control of both gangs, or whatever. Don't care. So that's when Betty and Veronica come in, and there's kind of this makeup moment with Betty and Jughead, where Jughead's really pissed at her, and basically it's just like, you sent Archie to break up with me, really? And Betty is just like, I'm still in love with you, I'll explain later, I promise, I'm trying to protect you. So they're kind of making up in a way. And so basically we get this really great kind of racing, Grease-like scene in this episode, which at first I was not for at all. But I did kind of like it a lot. Cheryl was fantastic in this with her little outfit and her American flag jacket that she was wearing. That was fun. And also we see a bit of a smart Archie in a way. Jughead's pissed at him because he calls the cops on him. And basically tries to get the Ghoulies and everybody arrested, which works. I mean, for how long? Who knows how long they're going to be in jail. But Archie's trying to play it smart, and he's trying to play it, hero Archie way, not like the dark Archie, which I did not like whatsoever. I'm glad we're kind of getting this. So the gang is all kind of back together, and I do enjoy that quite a bit. I do kind of miss Jughead going to Riverdale High, but I don't know where they're taking exactly this whole thing. Okay, here's my thing. Why is it that these gangs, the Ghoulies and the Serpents, are really, they're letting the teenagers decide a lot. There's adults that should be in charge of this gang, and they're just no, you're kind of a de facto leader because you're F.P. Jones's son, and they respect what you have to say. This kid's 16 years old. He's been in this gang for a day, so how about you adults need to figure your shit out? But at the end of this episode, with all of the information that Veronica and Betty have all done, guess what? They track down who the Candyman is, mainly because Cheryl just really killed it for the team. And Cheryl is really the MVP of this episode for sure. They're finally giving her something to do with kind of battling Nick St. Clair and then battling her mom and really just sticking up for herself. You know what? You need to care about me more because I'm your only family, basically. And so she basically takes this check that the St. Clairs decided to do some hush money against what happened, and she takes it, and she's like, you're not getting this check until you tell me who this Candyman figure is. So she tells him, she tells Betty. Betty goes and tells Sheriff Keller, and so they arrest him the justice way. And the Black Hood has called, and the Black Hood has now called her, and she goes full force, like awesome Betty on the Black Hood. Like, she gives him the spiel about how this is justice. He will get what he's coming, not murder, blah, blah, blah. And then she decides to be like, you know what? I caught Jason Blossom's murder. I found out who the Candyman was. And you know what? You're next, Black Hood. And it was great. That moment, she's just like, can you feel me? And he hangs up. Oh, yeah, that's the Betty I like. I want more that smart Betty. And what else happened in this episode? Oh, yeah, it ends with kind of Veronica at one point tells her parents that Nick tried to do the same thing. She fought him off and shut it down. And then he immediately went to Cheryl. And Hiram Lodge is not having that whatsoever. Like, Hermione cuts him off and is like, hey, we're not going to do business with the St. Clairs at all. Hiram decides to hire a guy to run them off the road when they're on their way back to New York and does not kill them. But Nick St. Clair is going to be in the hospital for a very long time. And Veronica is here for it. She does not care that much. Like, she's just like, good, he deserves it. And I'm wondering if we're going to kind of start to see a little bit of Hiram and Veronica, which I'm here for because the Lodge family is so good. It is so good. Also, some stuff that happened in this episode. Reggie and Josie are kind of, getting a little flirty. And some stuff is happening with Josie next episode that I'm excited for. Because I like Josie and the Pussycat side of Riverdale. I want more episodes. One of my favorite episodes from last season was their kind of highlight episode where we learn about Josie's dad and all that kind of stuff. And Valerie left the group and came back. I want more of that. I really, really enjoy it. I need to see more from this Reggie because I'm still missing old Reggie, but new Reggie's okay. He's growing on me. Also, Kevin got really mean in this episode. There was that one line where he calls Betty Benedict Betty, and it's just like, dude, you were literally just talking to her last episode. You made up with her. You need to calm down, Kevin Keller. Oh, also, the Candyman was Jughead's English teacher. So that actor can't catch a break because he was Charles Percy in Grey's Anatomy, and he got shot, and he died, and it was so sad. We didn't even like the character beforehand, but then he died, and you're just like, God, I love this character. Now he gets shot at the end of this episode because the Black Hood somehow sneaks into this Riverdale jail and kills him, so that's why Betty is starting to think that maybe Sheriff Keller's in on it, or is the Black Hood, because how could that happen? So that's going to be awkward with her and Kevin, so yeah. So overall, pretty happy with this episode. I actually it really grew on me, and it makes me really excited for next week's episode, and we're really getting into it, and I'm here for it. I am really enjoying the season now. This is kind of the third good episode in a row, and I can't wait. We're getting there. We're getting there, Riverdale peeps. Okay, I hope you guys liked this episode. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what are your thoughts on the season so far. Don't forget to subscribe. I make videos Monday through Friday. I usually miss a day, and I'm sorry. Okay, bye.